Ladies and gentlemen, the next big item on our program is the feature address by Professor Clement Sankat. Professor Sankat is Pro-Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. He has been a member of the St. Augustine community for as long as the Rotary Club of St. Augustine existed. The club was formed in 1968, and coincidentally, in that first year of existence, 68-69, Professor Sankat joined the University of the West Indies as a student, and he has remained in the university for his entire career and has served and contributed significantly in education and related fields. He has reached the pinnacle of his career, or at least it appears so, at UWI St. Augustine. And he's still in receipt of a number of awards. And originally, he was supposed to travel later tonight. And based on the request to stay on at our program, he is rescheduled for very early tomorrow, because he's traveling to Canada, and on Tuesday night, he's going to receive an award from the Canadian Society of Agricultural and Biological Engineers in Saskatchewan. So that's adding to another award for his contribution to science. He was recently honored by the Hindi Nidhi Foundation for his contribution to education in TNT, and that's quite recently. He was recognized by the government of Guyana with the Kasik Award. This is one of the national awards issued by the government of Guyana. He also received quite recently an honorary doctoral degree from the University of New Brunswick, again for his contribution to scholarship and education generally. He's the recipient of the Vice Chancellor's Award for Excellence. I mean, his CV is very, very long. He's contributed significantly, served on various boards during his career at UWI. An interesting part of his contribution to education and a sort of a linkage with Rotary. If you look at our logo at the back there, you'd see 45 years ago, our predecessors had the wisdom in creating that logo, a book over the map of Trinidad, more specifically over St. Augustine. At the time, that was signifying Center of Education. From then to now, St. Augustine has been renamed the Tertiary Education Center of Trinidad and Tobago. So a lot has changed, and Professor Sankat has spent, as I said, his 45 years being a significant contributor to education in Trinidad and Tobago and the region, and more specifically in St. Augustine. He's well known to all of us, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce Professor Sankat to address us. Welcome.
Thank you very much, our Master of Ceremonies, Vice President of the Rotary Club of St. Augustine, Mr. Krishna Budai, and let me recognize our Minister of Food Production, Senator the Honorable Devant Maharaj, and his lovely wife, Mrs. Maharaj. I want to especially single out the presence of Trinidad and Tobago's High Commissioner to Delhi, Mr. Chandradat Singh, who I'm advised has flown straight in from Delhi and came right here. To the President of the Rotary Club of St. Augustine, Mr. Vishnu Balrup and Mrs. Balrup, President-elect of the Rotary Club of St. Augustine, Mr. Rajin Sukai and Mrs. Sukai. Immediate past Governor, District 7030, Dr. Stephen Ramroop and Mrs. Ramroop. Other executive members of the Rotary Club of St. Augustine. I want to single out those two foundation members, Mr. Tommy Blaisdell and Mr. Nat Sharma, and to commend you for your service to this club over so many years, let me say that I looked at this list and I saw so many distinguished past presidents. My intention was to single out a few, but the list is too long, and you're all distinguished individuals, and I do recognize all of you, past presidents. Other Rotarians, distinguished guests, and I know I have many friends in here. I even have some students in here, members of the media. A very special good evening to all of you. Before I begin, let me say, on behalf of the staff and students of the University of West Indies at St. Augustine campus and our regional university, I would like to take this opportunity to extend best wishes to the Rotary Club of St. Augustine on your 45th anniversary of incorporation, which you have been celebrating through the year 2012-2013. It is interesting to note that 45 years ago, when your club adopted its flag, and as the president said, it was designed with an open book over the tongue of St. Augustine on the map of Trinidad and Tobago, as we see there. Now, at that time in 1968, the UWI was in its very formative years, having been formed in 1960 out of the Imperial College of Tropical Agriculture. But who then would have foreseen that in 2013, St. Augustine is now being designated by our government of Trinidad and Tobago as the educational city. So the vision and foresight of the Rotary Club, that was a very visionary thing to put the book there. This has served all of us very well. The citizens and residents of St. Augustine, and let me say, the campus community, all of us, you have all been of tremendous service. And let me thank Mr. Budai for his very complimentary introduction. But as a Rotarian, and you probably are not aware, he gives immense service to the University of West Indies because he has been the chairman of the campus's audit committee for several years now and has done an excellent job, and all in the spirit of volunteerism. And I commend you, Krish, for your work to the university. Now, it is indeed with great pleasure that I accepted this invitation to share a few words on this very auspicious occasion, celebrating both your incorporation anniversary as well as your handing over ceremony. Thank you, President Balrup, who himself has provided human service to UWI. I mean, we don't have a big event at St. Augustine and Mr. Balrup isn't around. Thanks for the great professional work you do. I want to thank you, an executive of the Rotary Club of St. Augustine, for the privilege and honor you have afforded me to address you this evening, and more so, to be in such distinguished company and fellow citizens who are dedicated to service. When this request was made of me, there was an instant positive response, because I do believe the Rotary Club of St. Augustine and the St. Augustine campus of UWI, that our fortunes are intertwined. Our history parallels each other. And yes, I was here as a student in 68, 69, living on campus, and really and truly I never left Trinidad since. And when I reflect on what St. Augustine was to what it is, there's been such a dramatic change, and it is all because of men and women like you who have seen the expansion of this St. Augustine area. For me as a young student on campus, because you live on campus, when you moved out of St. Augustine or the campus, there are three things that I remember. Palladium Cinema, Crest, people remember that? Crest Cinema, and Planet Cinema. And then later on came Eros. It didn't last very long. And of course, there were a few shops in Tunapuna, not as extensive as today. The Cureb Junction was not as bright as it is and as vibrant as it is, and there were one or two great roti shops around. But it was a much more sleepier town, and it has really been transformed into a very dynamic environment, grown immensely, and with the kinds of student population we have there, it has really been transformed. Now, as you mark the changing of the guard tonight, it is an opportune moment for you to reflect on your mission. And it is a time also for a renewal of your commitment to placing service above self. And I couldn't help but be touched by your motto on the screen, peace through service. I find this a very noble tenet, to be something that we should all aspire to be, each and every citizen of our Trinidad and Tobago. Our country, and let me say indeed, our world, will be better for it. Now, this is something I myself strive for as principal, day in and day out, giving service to a campus that has grown beyond the dreams of its founders to cater for more than 19,000 students and 3,000 staff members. In fact, when the University of West Indies was founded in 1948 at the Mona campus with 33 students doing medicine, it was not until 1960 that the St. Augustine campus was established. And although we came second, we are now the leading campus of the whole university system. So this is, I'm sure you can all appreciate, as many of you sitting in this room are managers and leaders yourself. Managing such an enterprise is not for the faint-hearted. But together with the team that we have and the leaders across our 7 faculties, we continue to strengthen our approaches for engaging both our internal and external stakeholders like yourselves, and working steadily day in and day out so that the university can make a better contribution to our societies. And the university is also not about service. Our university is built on 3 stools: teaching, research, and service. And in that regard, we are at one. So in many ways, the Rotary Club and the UWI are complementary, as we both seek to serve our communities on the one hand, but we are also leaders and asked to lead by example. We are both dedicated to the development of our nation's people through providing them with much needed services. But we are also called upon to strengthen the character of our nation's people by being leaders and adhering to the high ethical standards in all we do, by seeking to be inclusive in the programs and projects we design and execute, and by fostering peace and goodwill through our words and actions. As I am on this point, I would like to mention, President, that for many years the Rotary Club of St. Augustine has supported the UE St. Augustine campus in the fulfillment of its mission. The Rotary Club has provided financial aid for students in need and has embarked on special projects with some offices on our campus. And the President just reminded me of the recent event with the Faculty of Medical Sciences, the golf tournament. For this, I thank the Rotary Club wholeheartedly. But I ask of you to always champion the cause of the UWI St. Augustine. Our student and staff population is the highest it has been, doubling in its size over the last decade. We are, as I told you, the largest campus. And for 53 years, the university has been providing and preparing the leaders for our society, many of you who are gathered in this room. But I want to ask you to note that our campus contributes beyond academia. And significantly, I would say very significantly, to the development of the Mount Hope, Curep, St. Augustine, Tunapuna, and extended communities, El Dorado, St. Helena, Caroni, Maracas. These are all communities that are enhanced by the presence of the University of the West Indies. You know, sometimes I have to defend the campus's budget. And when I defend it, I say to the regional governments and to our own government of Trinidad and Tobago that the monies that you provide to the University of the West Indies at St. Augustine, while it seems to be coming to the campus community, that money is also, and as a consequence of the presence of the campus, it has a multiplying effect. Multiplying effect in terms of the kinds of spendings that occur. St. Augustine is the largest employer on the East-West corridor, 3,000 staff members. So you can imagine the impact of that on the community. So I say it's not only about training and teaching the students, important that is, but our staff and our students, and you heard me, 1968, Crest Cinema, Palladium. I don't have to tell you what else we did as students, but that's where we did it, right in that community. Our students and staff utilize all the services of this university town, whether it's banking, shopping, entertainment, markets, schools, churches, mosques, temples, government and municipal agencies, medical services, restaurants, you name it. University students access all of these services. And through the access of these services, business boom and the place thrives. And you just have to look at what is happening around the campus in terms of student housing. There are student residences being built around the campus that are really very first rate, 3- and 4-story high. Landlords who are doing very, very well. Only 1,500 students stay on campus. Many stay around the periphery of the university, Curep in particular, St. Augustine. So I ask, what would this community of St. Augustine be? I ask you to think about it without the University of the West Indies. And I want to say to you, it would not be what it is today. And that is why I ask that whenever the moment comes for you to champion the cause of the university, not only because of the quality leaders that it produces or the research that it produces, but of the services that are demanded by the university that embellishes and enhances the community, and especially St. Augustine. When the University of the West Indies prospers, the community prospers, and hence I seek your continued support and advocacy of our university. As I said before, our fortunes are intertwined. As I prepared for tonight, I could not help but reflect on the Rotarian four-way test and just how necessary it is at this time in our nation's and region's history. There are so many reports of crime, violence, selfishness, greed, unethical behavior, and these not only weaken the social fabric of our society, but also threaten the future development of our nation and our societies. As a people, we would do well to adopt this four-way test as a personal creed. Now more than ever, we need to be guided by the moral compass within us and constantly ask ourselves if what we are engaging in is as truthful and as fair, and that what we are doing builds goodwill and is beneficial. Our nation is blessed with many resources, truly talented people, but at this time we need rededication to our motto and our watchwords if we are to truly come together as one nation and achieve our fullest potential in all areas, including seeking to reduce and hopefully one day eliminate poverty in our country. The chairman of our campus council, former governor of the central bank, Mr. Ewart Williams, made an important point in his feature address at the last conference on economy at the UWI. He spoke on 50 years of managing for development in an ever-changing economic environment. And he cautioned that while our country is blessed with abundant natural resources, we should avoid what is called the natural resource curse, where such well-endowed countries fall prey to curses such as fiscal irresponsibility, inefficient and wasteful public expenditure, weak institutions, and things that happen that demonstrate poor forms of governance. So we need to pay attention to a country that is truly blessed with tremendous resources and talented people, but about the kind of service and the quality of service that we provide. And the Rotary Club could be a good example for all of the country to take note of. This has been a momentous week in Trinidad and Tobago, the week where our CARICOM heads of governments have met. They have reaffirmed their commitment to the Treaty of Chaguaramas, which speaks to a movement for regional integration. And this has also been a great week for agriculture in our country, with a meeting of the Caribbean Food Crop Society, the West Indies Agricultural Economic Society, the International Society for Horticultural Sciences, and all of this led by our Honorable Minister of Food Production, Senator Devant Maraj. Both of us spoke at this meeting, which was hosted by his ministry. At this meeting, I emphasized, as our Honorable Minister did, that in the area of agriculture, our country and certainly our region need to put appropriate strategies in place to ensure we have sustained agricultural development. Agricultural development that recognizes the realities of today's world. We are living in a world where there's a shift occurring from an abundance of food to one of food scarcity because of threats posed, for example, by climate change. And we would have seen recently some really devastating floods in India. Very devastating just last week. We are also noticing population growth, spreading water shortages, rising food prices, and of course, some of this fueled by the conversion of agricultural crops into biofuels. So what we need now is a commitment to action, to put in place and execute a balanced strategy for our development that recognizes both the need for import substitution. I think one should reflect on what we eat, and you just reflect on what you just said and where it comes from. And you can see the need for our countries to really begin to change our eating habits, to eat more of what is locally produced. We need to do that not only for now, but for future generations. It's going to take a time to change it around, but we really need to. We need, therefore, to look at import substitution, and we also need to look at exports of products from our country that are uniquely Trinidad and Tobagonian or Caribbean, and they are. As I pointed out earlier this week in my remarks, economic diversification needs to be a top priority for our country. And I say this particularly in the light of new, emerging realities for oil and gas. There's a shift occurring. There is the rise in the United States, and let me say around the world, in new developments in gas, shale gas. There is also developments in biofuels, fuels from crops, sugarcane, corn. You could do it from cassava, anything that is starchy. And there's also the rise of other alternative forms of energy. We must also remain cognizant of the fact, and sometimes we forget this, that oil and gas are depleting resources. They come to an end. They finish. Yes, they do. You look at what has happened in Britain and in North Sea oil and gas, it's really come to an end. That doesn't mean you wouldn't find other forms of energy like shale gas, but they do all come to an end. Trinidad and Tobago, like other oil economies, oil and gas economies, must therefore look very carefully and thoughtfully at its developmental strategy in the context of the future of the energy industry. Now, this is something that as an academic I can speak about. But I know that we live in a world of political realities, and hence sometimes we plan for a short haul, but we need to also think of future generations. And it's important we all be reminded that after us will come another generation. What will they have to inherit? And that is why I am such a strong advocate for agriculture, because it's something that is sustainable. Agriculture and manufacturing and industry can all be integrated to produce, to create a very sustainable future for our countries. A great opportunity for sustainable development. And I just wish to advise, because I know all of you are my friends from St. Augustine and Tunapuna, that we have, courtesy of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, taking possession, I don't know if you know this, 200 acres of very prime land at Orange Grove on the Churchill Roosevelt Highway, directly opposite the Twin City Mall. With all of your support, I see another campus development where food and agriculture, science and technology are all integrated with commerce, business, and entrepreneurship. And let me say to you, Minister, we signed the agreement with the two farmers. They're going there on Monday. The work begins. We are starting a master farmer training program. But it's important the community engages the university in this development. And I wish to engage you. We cannot do it alone, but we can do it in partnership as an integrated community where agriculture, science and technology, business and entrepreneurship can all thrive. However, I speak, when it comes to development, we all know what needs to be done. But we must all hold steadfast to the commitment and purpose and principle, and that is to get it done. Execution is really one of our challenges. We have great plans, we have great ideas. It is important we make it happen. As I said earlier, as a nation, we are well resourced, both in terms of natural and human resources. We have some wonderful young people in our country, students who will excel anywhere in the world. They excel at UWI, and they will go away in the world and excel. We've seen them. But we need to rededicate ourselves to our development mission, what it is all about. It should not only be about self. It should be about service and giving to others. And this is something we have to inculcate in the minds of our young people. Giving back. As our campus chair highlighted, we have had and seen some missed opportunities over the past decades. But we can all work at getting it right for the sake of ensuring the progress and advancement of our country and the benefit of future generations. And as we contemplate the future and the challenges ahead of us, I want to quote from something I said at the conference. Lester Brown, who is a renowned thinker from the Earth Policy Institute in Washington. Lester Brown said, "We are entering a new era of rising food prices and spreading hunger. Food supplies are tightening everywhere, and land is becoming the most sought-after commodity as the world shifts from an age of food abundance to one of scarcity. The geopolitics of food is fast overshadowing the geopolitics of oil. Armed aggression is no longer the threat to the future. The overriding threats to this century are climate change, population growth, spreading water shortages, rising food prices, and I am going to add, very restless young people in the world. You just have to look on the images of the television. Brazil, a country that has just taken off to become one of the leading industrial countries in the world, one of the biggest agricultural exporters in the world. Who would have expected 3 weeks ago young people would have come out in the streets in Brazil? Prior to that, young people on the streets in Turkey. And now we are witnessing what is happening in Egypt. Young people once more on the streets. We have young people who can become very restless. We got to pay attention. We got to take notice. So as I close, I want to congratulate all of you once again on such an auspicious occasion. 45 years of service is something the Rotary Club of St. Augustine should be justifiably proud of. To the incoming executive members, your election signifies a great deal of confidence placed in you by your fellow Rotarians. And so we all look forward to the new and exciting initiatives of the Rotary Club of St. Augustine, initiatives that will be undertaken in the year ahead. I hope some of those initiatives could also be in partnership with the St. Augustine campus of the UWI. And I asked the chair tonight, well, you're having this wonderful ceremony in the Hyatt. Why not at St. Augustine or at the campus? And I ask you to test me. To the outgoing executive team, a sincere thanks for your steady leadership and your contribution and service. And to those of you who are going to be recognized tonight, I say to all of you, congratulations and well deserved. And to all the Rotarians, my sincere congrats on your accomplishments. Thank you for all that you've done for the city of St. Augustine, and especially the UWI, and continue to build the great legacy for which your institution is well known and well respected the world over. You know, I just had one point. I've been telling audiences as I speak that no one ever expected when St. Augustine was created in 1960 that this university community would have developed to what it is today. And that is precisely the vision that we have for our new campus and the vision of our government for our new campus in Pinal DB. You can just imagine that future 50, 60 years from now. From the green fields of what used to be Caroni sugarcane land, a new town will emerge. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Sankat, for that wide-ranging presentation covering from the history of St. Augustine, the university, Rotary Club, the area of St. Augustine, your comments on global issues, agricultural issues, well-received message. But I want to take you up on 2 points. One that you made when you entered the door, and the comment you made, which I will come to later on. And 2, in your closing remarks, the point about strengthening the relationship between the Rotary Club of St. Augustine and the University of the West Indies. And on both counts, we are pleased to announce that effective July, we have the privilege and honor to recognize as an honorary Rotarian of the Rotary Club of St. Augustine for the year July 2013 to June 2014. And the comment he made at the door when we met is, maybe I better join the Rotary Club of St. Augustine. And your wish came true, and this was on the agenda, and it now gives me great pleasure to invite our president, outgoing president, Vish Baru, to install Professor Sankat as an honorary Rotarian. What does an honorary Rotarian mean? You don't have to pay any fees. And because of that, you can't vote at our club. You have to go somewhere else to vote, right? But you're eligible to join us at all meetings and all the other privileges of a Rotarian. So welcome to the Rotary Club of St. Augustine.
Thank you all very much. Thanks. Much appreciated.